Hello, everyone. I'm David Ryan. Thanks a lot for joining us today. I'm the marketing director here at Chesapeake Systems. My contact info is listed on the slide, but just remember our website, chesa.com, and you'll always be able to get hold of us. Now, many of you are familiar with Chesapeake Systems, but for those of you who are not, we are an IT systems integrator based out of Baltimore, Maryland. And our facility, pictured here, is in Baltimore's Hamden section, for those of you locals nearby who are familiar with Baltimore. And it's really cool being here because it's in a United Methodist Church from 1879. And the renovation efforts were led by our CEO, Mark Dent. And, hey, it's a really fun place to work, and we conduct many professional seminars here, and we also have a lot of public events as well. So we really enjoy where we are, and we're just having a lot of fun here serving our customers. We like to say here at Chesapeake Systems that it's our slogan, it's creative IT for the creative professional. And you'll see in our next slide that this is our homepage, chesa.com. Now, our company consists of two divisions. As I said, a lot of you are familiar with us and you've already visited the site, but again, let me just go into just a little bit of detail here. One of our teams is the National Pro Services team, which specializes in IT systems integration within digital video production and post-production workflows. The other team is our regional team, which focuses on the needs of small businesses, including many graphic design entities. The arrows on the graphic here point to the tabs that lead to the primary landing pages for those two divisions. And we have a lot of great info on the site, so I encourage you to explore it at your leisure. Now, there's Meryl Davis up there on our slide, and Merrill is one of our National Pro Services sales team members. A media production whiz in his own right, Merrill is our top Adobe sales expert here at Chesapeake. And presently, he is handling inquiries and purchases of Adobe products for both our national and regional teams. Now, I put his info in gold for emphasis. Yeah, he's our Adobe golden boy here at
I love this picture you chose for me. I just, that's me in Vail in Colorado. I was on the way to a shoot, and we got snowed out. The executive producer couldn't believe that we got snowed out in Vail. But there it is.
Well, anyway, there's the contact info. If after this webinar you decide to move forward with Creative Cloud for Teams, or if you still have any questions, Merrill's the guy you'll want to reach out to. And we'll be putting this contact info up later in the webinar as well. Now, Chesapeake has been a long-time reseller of Adobe products. In fact, as you can see in the badge at the top, we are a gold-level reseller. And we've always been impressed with their innovation. But I got to tell you, without sounding too much like a cheerleader here, our excitement has grown exponentially ever since CS6 was introduced and continuing on now with Creative Cloud. Now, granted, there are some radically new mold-breaking concepts going on with Creative Cloud, and with any change comes plenty of questions, and along with some rumors filled with, outright misinformation. So that's why we wanted to hold this webinar today, to make sure you clearly understand what Creative Cloud for Teams has to offer, thereby allowing you to make a fully informed decision. The timing is also just right because special promotional pricing that Adobe is offering for Creative Cloud for Teams ends at the end of this month. So, and we'll go over those details later in the webinar, but I want to move on here to just start introducing James Lee here because, you know, when you've got questions about something, you go to the top, right? And James is one of Adobe's leading experts on Creative Cloud for Teams. So we asked him to conduct this webinar. So without further ado, I'll turn this over to James. James, take it away.
Thanks, David. Hey, everyone. My name is James Lee. I put the A in there again because there's 5 of us at Adobe, and they took the S and the A out of my name in my email address. So if you want to shoot me a note, ask me a question, feel free to do so. I encourage it. It's my job. Just remember that it's JAMELEE at Adobe.com, but my name is still James, and I'm the Cloud Sales Development Manager. So I'm here to support Creative Cloud. This is about 4 hours worth of material that we are cramming down to 30 to 45 minutes. So there'll be a lot of information. As David mentioned, a lot of it is new. So we've changed the way that we've been doing business for the past 20 years, really, and there could be a lot of questions. So that's what I'm here for. This is most importantly a dialogue, and I'm really excited to be working with Chesapeake Systems to this end. So let's go ahead and get started. Where are we coming from? Why are we doing this? Well, really, it really is to address real-world issues that we at Adobe believe are out there. First, that content creation happens despite our workflow, not because of it. Assets are difficult to track, and if you've ever had a final copy of a file floating around in your workspace, you know what I'm talking about. Mobile devices haven't really been addressed and integrated tightly enough into the creative activities and also to the creative deployment of activities, and tools and services are not living up to expectations. So touch more on the not living up to expectations part. Traditionally we've up-resed our software, every 18 to 24 months, which now in today's environment, that's an eternity. 18 to 24 months, the iPad came out within that time frame and changed everything completely. So we were stuck waiting for another gold master to really get the proper applications out there. So we really wanted to overcome, obstacles like that, and the fact that we are in a rapidly changing world, and we need to be able to be flexible and have a solution out there that can help enable our customers on a real-time basis. We also wanted a creative process that embraced the benefits of a broader creative community. And you can see those 2 bullet points on the right-hand side of the screen. We needed to find ways to collaborate because that's a continuous struggle. And currently, there are no processes that embrace the benefits of having that broader creative community. So we kind of took all of these pain points, many more, and thoughts within our own customers, thoughts within our partners, and we kind of came up with what we thought was a fantastic product. So let's talk about what is Adobe Creative Cloud for Teams. So you see 4 main columns. This is really going to take up the bulk of our slide presentation today, and I'll kind of address them on a high level to begin with, and we'll drill deeper down as we go. So the first column you see here is a set of collaborative tools. That's what we're probably most familiar with. Those are the applications we all know and love: Photoshop, Premiere, After Effects, in all of their glory, all in the Creative Cloud. Now, I'm going to take a second to address the fact that the applications themselves don't actually sit in a browser. You can't use them like you would Salesforce.com or NetSuite.com or some of the other truly cloud-hosted and interactive applications. These applications sit on the end user's desktop just like they always have. So laptop, desktop, you're able to install those applications on an as-needed basis and use them at your leisure. And that's another point right there, is at your leisure. Before, we had 1.5 million SKUs, 1.5 million ways to purchase Creative Suite. Now we've simplified that. Every subscriber to Creative Cloud for Teams Complete has access to every one of our creative desktop applications plus Acrobat. And as you can see here, Lightroom also is included. Previously, Lightroom wasn't in any of the suites. You had to buy that separately, as well as InCopy and some of those other one-off applications. We've simplified that purchasing. We've put it all under one roof. So every subscriber to Creative Cloud for Teams Complete will have all of those applications, which is pretty cool. As I mentioned earlier, we wanted to make a solution where people could have real-time updates. What's the most relevant tool for me today? So you can see the little refresh button on the bottom left-hand side of the collaborative tools column. It really signifies the fact that we are coming out with new products, new innovations, and we are packing our pipeline full to the brim on a weekly basis and deploying new updates weekly. We'll go into that in more detail. You see a little cloud that says 20 gigabytes. That's actually 100 gigabytes that every Creative Cloud for Teams complete user has in access to them. And then let's go ahead to the second column, community. So I mentioned that we really wanted to create a process that embraced the creative community. So with every Creative Cloud for Teams membership, there is included a Behance Pro Site membership. Behance is a company that we purchased not too long ago, and you may or may not be familiar with it, but they also host a website called 99u.com, which I kind of call the TED Talks for creatives. And when we purchased this company, I was ecstatic because I've been on this website and using products from Behance for a couple of years now. So I was pretty excited that we made this acquisition. And for those of you who don't know Behance, the community is powerful. You may have seen a bullet point or two on this saying that it's the Facebook for creatives, but it's really so much more than that. It's not just another place where you can add your coworkers and get random endorsements like you do on LinkedIn. It's a community where the movers and shakers of the design and creative community reside, post their work, and interact with each other for feedback. So the fellow who actually designed, for instance, for a very small instance, the fellow who designed General Grievous from Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, he is on Behance, as well as some other what I call movers and shakers. So I'm very excited about the Behance community. You don't have to interact with it, but every end user has the ability to have those high-powered connections and get inspired by some of their work, as well as even request feedback from people he or she is able to form a relationship with, which that's pretty cool. And then publishing. Publishing has really been at the core of Adobe's business for quite some time, and with Creative Cloud for Teams, this is no exception. With the Pro Site, you're able to have a customized portfolio experience if that's something you have a need for. You're able to host 5 websites and have real fonts on your website through our Type Kit, which is about $25,000 worth of fonts that we've packaged in there for no additional cost. But most importantly, let's focus on that icon second from the top, the Publish iPad apps. That is Digital Publishing Suite Single Edition. We'll go into that in a little more detail, but the skinny of that is that you're able to publish interactive content to tablets, again, for no extra charge. And then inspiration. In addition to Behance, which we covered briefly, there's also learning resources available to every end user that go over a multitude of the features within our applications. But we also include support. This is key. If you've ever called Adobe support before, chances are you didn't buy the extra gold support that we offered. If you did, congratulations. You bought fries with that. But if you didn't, you probably called a generic 1-800 number, and you probably had a terrific experience holding on the phone for quite some time, listening to a wide variety of elevator music. So that was really a huge problem, and we've solved that in a big way through Creative Cloud for Teams. We'll go into what that support means, but we even offer tutoring services or expert services included in the package as well. And then, most importantly, the new products and updates as they become available are rolled out, and it's rolled out in a very convenient way in an easy-to-use management portal that lets you see exactly where you're at with your subscriptions and who is using them, and gives you far greater control than you've ever had before. If you've ever used our licensing website, we're going to go over how really our VIP portal or our admin console, or whichever term you decide to use, is really leaps and bounds ahead of its time. And we're very committed, as you can see with this pretty robust offer. We're pretty committed to making this work. We're pretty committed to delivering on our promise of having this terrific experience for a way that fits the new age of technology. And we're committed to making it work. So we continue to add more and more to this value proposition. To illustrate that, we started in May last year. So May 2012, we launched Creative Cloud for Teams, and we included all of the CS6 applications. We included Acrobat 10. We put in Muse and Edge. We had Typekit and Business Catalyst. And then you can see in June, the next month, we added in Lightroom 4 because we realized that, you know what, we've never included that in a suite before. We've never included that in a package. Why not? Let's include it in there. In August, we added a couple new features. We gave an Illustrator update, and as you can see, I'm not going to go over it, all of the bullet points. Don't worry, I just don't read points wrote, at least I hope not. You can see that we put out about one major update, new product, feature, or SDK per week. And this is huge. Again, instead of waiting 18 to 24 months or 12 months for a dot release and then having to cough up an extra chunk of change for that, you get these features as they come out, as they become available. And that's a really exciting part of Creative Cloud for Teams. In June, we mentioned that we would be discontinuing the advancement of Creative Suite. So Creative Suite 6 is still available, but there's going to be no CS7. I'll repeat, no CS7. In June, we stated that all of our new technology, all of our new innovation, all of the new secret sauce is going to be put solely into Creative Cloud. And to back that up, we up-resed all of the software in Creative Cloud from Photoshop CS6 to Photoshop CC. So Photoshop CC is the next. It's the best. It's the latest and greatest version of Photoshop, as well as the other mnemonics that you see here. And they made them very difficult to draw, so it's harder for me to doodle them in my little notebook. But that's okay. They're really fantastic applications, and we've poured a lot into them. And we'll go into that briefly here. Without belaboring all of them and going into each one in detail, I really want to highlight the live 3D pipeline with Cinema 4D that we put into After Effects, where you're able to actually place Cinema 4D objects into the After Effects project, interact with them, and that's a huge value add. We've never had something like that before, and those of you who know Cinema 4D, not necessarily a cheap application. So for us to put in that feature is just really huge. And then the other, we always have a great Photoshop feature that we add to every new version of product that we make. So this one was no exception. You may have remembered watching CSI or some other forensics show and having a blurry photo and them de-blurring that photo, making it sharp so they can identify the killer. That is camera shake reduction, and I'll show you a little bit about what that looks like. So there are no killers in my photographs today, no forensic evidence, but you can see a photo that we took where the picture of the flowers on the left, a little bit shaky. Now that's native to the file. That's how the camera took the picture. Someone got bumped or breathed the wrong way when he or she took that shot. The shutter speed wasn't correct for being handheld. Oh man, that would have been such a beautiful picture. And it was hard to tell that it was that blurry on the little LCD screen on the back of that 7D or 5D. So when we sat down, and it's a little bit blurry because of the shake. Well, no worries. We just hit that camera shake reduction tool, and as you can see on the right, crystal clear, good as new. So that and plenty more features behind it that we can go into further detail on an as-needed basis are put into a Creative Cloud for Teams. And as I mentioned, about one major update a week, as well as lots of other little updates get trickled in. So we have no shortage of features. As I mentioned, we do include Typekit, which is about $25,000 worth of our fonts collection that is available to be rich text in your website. So instead of baking in crazy fonts into a JPEG or into a PNG or into a GIF or GIF, depending on which way you pronounce it, you can actually put the text in the HTML and have it in one of those rich fonts that you see there, all of the fonts in our collection. Really a great add-on. As I mentioned, with the Digital Publishing Suite Single Edition, we're able to address the fact that tablets are, in fact, the future of our communication. Everyone has one nowadays. Everyone has an iPad, an iPod, an Android tablet of some kind, and it's a popular way to consume content. It's primarily what they're used for. So we wanted to enable our users to have a feature that would address that. So you can connect with customers on an ongoing basis with interactive publications, newsletters, and government communications content. You can deliver that information via tablet and mobile and engage your on-site audience. So that means that you can push out updates, push out new content to users, and you can distribute that content onto readers based on their roles, including HR, information, price lists, proposals, planograms, and more. So it's great for people internally in your organization as well as people externally. And then the best part of the digital publishing suite is you're able to create that truly interactive content where pressing the little plus button next to the Nike hoodie is able to give you some of the details about what it is, how much it costs, where to get it. You're able to have that rich media experience, and you're able to deliver that with Creative Cloud for Teams subscriptions. So we really wanted to focus on an offering that was good anywhere. So we don't have a slide that addresses this, but I'll take a second to talk about this now. There's always been the question of how many times can I deploy the software, right? For CS5, 5.56, how many installs is too many installs to be compliant? And that was always a great question. The way that we always ran it was that you were able to do one for a workstation, one install for that same user's home computer. So the idea there was that it would be in a different workspace. It wouldn't be run coterminously, and that one user would not have two installs at one desk. That was really the spirit of our EULA. Now, each subscriber to Creative Cloud for Teams Complete and Single App is able to install those applications on two computers coterminously at any given point in time. If a third install is made, no worries. The first computer is deauthenticated, and you just have a running list of two installs that you're able to use and log into that application once you fire it up on your desktop. And instead of plugging in a serial number, simply plug in your credentials, your username and password, and you're good to go. So as far as compliance goes, much easier solution. And ease of use, much easier solution. You don't have to dig around for the right serial number and, make sure that you enter all of those 16 to 18 digits correctly. So we can talk about that more in detail if needed. But as you can see, we really want to create an experience that would be good for anywhere, so that if you're going to be installing on a laptop and a workstation, that you would have information that's synced up with it. So you can see that you can add applications through the toolbar that can sync with your desktop. You can add interactivity with Behance. You can accept invitations from people on Behance, and you can see what kind of updates we have for our software. So you'll be notified when there's a major update for Photoshop available to you, and you can do that as you want. And we'll talk about deployment here in a little bit. So if you have questions on that, I'm going to contradict myself and say, hold those for now. We're going to talk about packaging, deploying, and what does that actually look like in a real-world example here in a second. But you're able to see when a new version of the software is out, so that's pretty convenient. So this is what the default download view looks like. Your end users will go to creative.adobe.com, log in with the credentials that you give them, and they're able to pick and choose which applications they want to have in their workspace and on their actual desktop so they can fire up and use them. Again, this is nice because you don't have to buy a whole $2,600 master collection and then only use half of it. You have a nice, easy Creative Cloud for Teams subscription, and you're able to download only what you need, which makes it very efficient. As we mentioned, there is 100 gigabytes of storage space for each user. So each user has file storage that looks like this. As you can tell, not really an archival storage. It's not really efficient for that, but it's really meant for a workspace. So if I'm working on a project, and especially if I'm working on a project with multiple people and I want to have one reference file instead of sending around a bunch of JPEGs or a bunch of InDesign files, I can host those on creative.adobe.com using my credentials. And I can also share those files. They default as private, by the way. And you can make them public, email them, share the link, allow comments, allow downloads, allow people to interact with that content in a centralized location. Then coming soon is the ability to not only put those files in folders, that's currently available, but the feature that's coming soon is the ability to share folders as workspaces. So think of this as a specialized Dropbox for people using Adobe formats and Adobe workflows and applications. Let's go into some details about what that storage actually looks like, some of the ramifications of that storage. Where is the Creative Cloud hosted? Amazon Web Services. We just bought servers from Amazon, and they are hosted within the region that the end user resides in, or the region where the company is located. So if you're in California, you're going to have servers close to you. If you're in New Hampshire, you're going to have a different set of servers hosting your storage. And then there's some security details there for your information. And if you need a more elaborate, a more in-depth document on security, you can simply ask the good folks at Chesa. They'll work with me, and we'll be able to get you some of those details. So everything we talked about so far was Creative Cloud for Teams Complete. A little bit of a mouthful, but that's what it's called. So let's say that you need just Photoshop. You really don't have a need for 2 applications, 3 applications. You have a set of users who are really, truly just using Photoshop, just using Illustrator, just using InDesign. So we now have a solution that's right for you. You can choose any one of the products here and use them as a single application subscription. Okay, so the difference between single app and complete. Single app gives you 20 gigabytes of storage instead of 100. So that's a key difference there. However, the things that are similar are first and foremost that new features are available whenever they come out for that product. You do have that same centralized billing and administration that we're going to touch on. You will be able to have the packager for deployments. You'll have access to Behance ProSite and Behance.com. So what you don't have in single app, so buyer beware, if you will, is the Digital Publishing Suite Single Edition is not included. You will not be able to host 5 websites on Business Catalyst, which, if you're on this call, you probably already have a website or 2, and you're fine there. You will not have access to the Adobe Typekit library, and then you also do not have access to 2 one-on-one sessions with an Adobe product expert per seat per year. We'll go into what that is, but that is, again, part of the complete single app subscription. As part of the complete subscription, pardon me. One other thing, if you look at the bottom right-hand side of the slide, you'll see that there is no Lightroom available for single application subscription. There's also no Acrobat version available for single application subscription. Those are available in Adobe Creative Cloud for Teams Complete, but not Creative Cloud for Teams Single App. So just an important note there as far as what is and isn't included. So that's the skinny of the single app. We'll talk prices here towards the end, but let's finish up with what's actually included. What are the features? We talked about storage, and now we're going to talk a little bit deeper about what's included in the support, what's included in the deployment, and rubber meets the road. How is this actually deployed? And then how is this actually administrated? How do you take care of these? How do you track these? What does your day-to-day life look like in Creative Cloud for Teams? So we'll start with support. Of course, we have community forums like any good cloud solution, but we also have a hotline dedicated to Creative Cloud for Teams. And the support number, by the way, is 24/7, and it does go to Tier 2 support when you buy Creative Cloud for Teams Complete through your reseller. Tier 2 is the same tier that Kurt Snyder, which some of you may be familiar with, and myself at Adobe use to escalate high-level problems. So if we have a big issue and we need someone on it stat, we need someone competent and capable, we call Tier 2 support. So we made that level of support included in the Creative Cloud for Teams complete application, and that's huge. Like I alluded to earlier, to get support, to really get support before, you had to do do you want fries with that add-on? And, depending on what products that you had and how many of those products you had, it wasn't necessarily simple to not only understand, but purchase support, and then on top of that, use it. So we've really done a terrific job of simplifying that and including it in the subscription. But we went a step beyond. And this is the part that I'm most excited about, because this is a feature that we've never before included, and that is one-on-one with an Adobe expert. So let me tell you how this works. Every user that you designate to be a subscriber for Creative Cloud for Teams Complete will have the ability to schedule a 30-minute session with an Adobe expert for any of the product sets that you see below. So you can see web expert, video expert, digital publishing expert, photography expert. And you can click on that link and see available dates, which they're usually pretty open because we have many of those folks who are available for help. And you can talk to them about anything. And that's right, I said anything. So if you have an end user and he's a power user on After Effects, and he's he's a whiz kid, but he gets those new features on After Effects Creative Cloud. How do I use that 3D pipeline with Cinema 4D? I'm not quite sure I understand the nuances of it. The little 2-minute tutorial didn't cut it, and I really want to take a deeper dive. So that user can schedule an appointment with our video expert, one of our video experts, and that video expert can take him through the nitty-gritty, the details of that feature, and also work with him hand-in-hand on a specific project. So you're stuck on a sequence, and you're not quite sure how to use this feature set to accomplish the animation and the composite that you're looking to accomplish. That video expert knows the answer. He's paid to do nothing but know the answer, and he's available at your disposal. Two of those 30-minute sessions per user per year, which is pretty neat. And there are additional sessions available for purchase if necessary, but that's a huge value add that we've put into the solution, one that I'm very excited about. So Creative Cloud Packager, how do I actually put the stuff on my end users' computers? Well, there's two main ways you can do that. One of them not listed here, but we kind of went over earlier, is that the end users are able to log into creative.adobe.com and download those executables, download those applications on an as-needed basis. So that gives the end user the liberty, without being an admin, to grab those applications as he or she needs. Now, if you don't want your internet bandwidth taken up with people downloading SpeedGrade and downloading Premiere and downloading After Effects just all the time, well, we can address that with the packager. And if you don't want your end users to have admin rights on their consoles, you don't want them to install just whatever they want to install, and you kind of lock down their machine a bit, we have a solution to address that, and that is the Creative Cloud Packager. So it lets you select the applications, selectively choose the applications that only your work group needs. So let's say that you have Premiere, After Effects, Illustrator, Photoshop, and SpeedGrade, and that's really all your users need. You don't need them downloading Muse. You don't need them downloading Fireworks. They just need that package. You're able to select those, download them once, and then deploy those as an MSI or a PKG file for Windows and Mac, respectively. You're also able to manage your updates from a server located on your internal network if you so choose. So you can see here that there's pretty advanced configurations that you can tweak to make sure that this runs correctly on your network and runs correctly and most efficiently for your IT management paradigm. And again, we have lots more information on the packager if you want some more details. If you'd like a white page, a one-pager or a white page about the packager, we're able to provide that to you. So just to do a quick recap and then move on to the rest of the presentation, there are 15 new Creative Cloud apps. We upped those from CS6, enhanced for collaboration. With Creative Cloud for Teams, you always have the latest, and you're always on the same version. We also have the centralized administration of licenses. That's what we're going to hop into here in a second. And then we also went over that your deployment of the software is more flexible now than it's ever been before. And again, you're not using serial numbers. You're using email addresses and passwords. Another quick note, I forgot I had this slide in this location, but let's say that you don't want to give your users access to Creative Cloud storage either. You don't want company assets, going rogue on an Amazon server, or you just have a policy that prevents that. You're able to block some of these domains from within your firewall and prevent that from happening. Just make it a non-issue. So let's talk about how this software actually becomes deployed. Well, we do it through what we call the value incentive plan. The purchase and the administration of these licenses kind of go hand in hand. You may be familiar with TLP, CLP, and EA, and you can see the little product or licensing matrix here. Basically, TLP was for onesie-twosie purchases here and there. It really didn't give you any kind of cost savings or anything like that. CLP, that was more of our cost savings model. That's the Sam's Club or Costco of licensing, I like to call it. And then there's the enterprise agreement. We're all probably a little bit familiar with what an enterprise agreement is, but, that was really to help compliance management be easier. So we needed to create a new vehicle for actually getting Creative Cloud for Teams out into the market. So that's why we created VIP, the Value Incentives Program. And on top of all of the features that we baked into TLP, CLP, and EA, we also made it a lower cost of entry, and that's actually quite a modest slide, but it's actually no cost of entry. You'll have the latest applications, features, and services between releases, and you'll be able to easily view purchased versus added. So it's an ongoing membership-based plan, subscription-based licensing. Subscriptions are prorated on a monthly basis against your anniversary date and then renewed annually. Subscriptions are co-termed against that anniversary date. Your initial purchase is going to be for 12 months, and let's look at what that actually looks like. How does it actually work? So when you sign up for VIP, you'll have a start date and an anniversary date, and those will be the same thing, just 1 year apart. And your first purchase is going to be for 12 months. So you pay for this annually or prorated against the anniversary date. So I have a slide here to illustrate that. So here in this example, we have 5 seats added. 5 seats added at the demo price of $50 a month. Now, we'll go over the fact that you have a promo right now for August. Anniversary date for you. We just keep the same anniversary date, and we prorate those 16 licenses at 9 months, $50 a month, $450 each. That's $7,200. And then at the anniversary date, you'll have 21 seats to renew. 21 seats at 12 months at the full price of $70 a month. $840 each is $17,640. Because remember, the $40 a month price is a promo for August or ending August, and the $50 a month price point, as we'll talk about at the end of the slideshow, is for September through December. So that's how the purchasing of Creative Cloud for Teams works. When you sign up for Creative Cloud for Teams, you'll get an email that says click here to accept the terms and conditions. You'll click that link. You'll go to a page where you're able to click and review the terms and conditions, check the box that said you've read them, and then accept the terms and conditions, which basically say, please don't pirate our software. Your anniversary date is so-and-so, and please don't avoid your local tax laws. Then you'll become part of Adobe's Value Incentive Program, and you'll be able to go into the admin console. So before we show you what the admin console looks like, it should be noted that you'll have a VIP number. So you may be familiar with a CLP or an EA number. That VIP number is able to make your purchases against. You'll have that anniversary date and the name of your company. You're able to add administrators who are not users. And you can do that here. Again, they don't have access to the software themselves unless, of course, they're added as an end user, and we'll show you what that looks like as well. So here you see the actual admin console. If you can see at the top, it might be a little bit tiny, But the plan administrators, you have Juanita Lopez in this example. So Juanita is the administrator, and of course, Juanita can add other administrators to have access to this portal. But then you see the Manage Your Team section. Now, if you're familiar with LWS or a licensing website or old licensing website at all, I hope you'll agree with me that this is a much cleaner, much easier workflow, and a lot of people are resonating with how it is. It's pretty simple. There's a big blue plus button at the bottom that says Add a Seat. You click that to add a seat. Then there's also a button at the bottom that says Request Seats, which will basically send out an RFQ to Chesa, the reseller, and they'll be able to help you through that. When you add or when you request a seat, you'll be able to punch in a PO number. We recommend that you do that, even though it's optional. It just helps with good bookkeeping, good record keeping, so that you can keep straight which orders have gone where, just again for your records and working with Chesa. And Chesa will also be able to look those up for you if you're able to input them. And again, to belabor the point, have good record keeping. So once you add and authorize those seats, as you can see here in an example, this user has 5 subscriptions. He's already designated where 4 of them go, and you can see the email addresses for all of those users. They all have to be acceptance pending, and that's because they're dummy accounts. But then you'll see accepted and how much storage that actual user has used. And then you'll see on a blank slot an invite user button and then a field where you're able to input the email address. You're then able to send the invites. They'll get an email that says accept the invitation. They'll create a password for themselves, which, by the way, you as an administrator are able to reset if that person goes rogue or you just need to reset it for whatever reason. So let's talk about revoking a subscription. If you have a user and he leaves the company, moves to another department, for whatever reason doesn't need the application anymore, that user can then click the X. The admin can then click the X next to that user and reappropriate that license, as you can see on the second graphic, halfway down this slide. So let's go over some best practices for housekeeping on the admin console. Keep one VIP number. That means keep one anniversary date. The whole idea for this solution is for you to be able to have really that simplified purchasing experience. Use one PO number, or use a PO number and purchase authorization number whenever you add a seat. And then, of course, we have the CCT blog. We have a Creative Cloud FAQ. We have an IT blog for deployment of Creative Cloud for Teams. And then, of course, on the admin console, you have access to that Creative Cloud for Teams packager. So I promised that we talk about price. Let's talk about price. Ending August 31st, so in the next week, we have a promo that will not only get you the single application at $240 a year or $19.99 a month for the first year, but will also lock in that renewal price for next year. So you know exactly what you're going to pay next year when you go to renew. $240 per seat for single application, which is pretty nifty. And then you see the other limited time offer for $480 per user. That's $40 a month for a full year. Again, if purchased by the end of August 31st, you're able to make that happen. And really, Chesa is a terrific company to work with to this end. They are fully capable of honoring this promotion, and they're primed and ready to go, fully certified and standing by to help you out. As you know, David, he's a pretty cool guy. So by the end of August, we're able to lock in those prices for you on the renewal next year. Let's say that you add some seats or you make your purchase in September through December. No worries. We still have a promo price for you. For the single application, that's still going to be $240 for a full year or $19.99 a month. The catch is that if it's not purchased in August, we can't lock in the price for you. So even if you sign up in August and you add seats from September through December, you're able to get that $19.99 price, but if it's not purchased in August, the PO isn't in August, you will not be able to have that price lock. And then the price goes up from $40 a month to $50 a month and $600 a year for the Creative Cloud for Teams Complete. And then it's worth noting that our 2014 regular prices for single application, $30 a month or $360 for a full year, $70 a month for the complete, and $840 and change for a full year. So those are our regular prices. As you can tell, right now we've dropped them significantly, 40% off of the complete, and later on this year about 25% off. So that is the long and short of it. I hope this was informative for you, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this back over to David to wrap up.
Thanks, James. Well, let's open it up for some questions, okay? Can you review again how someone does that? And
absolutely. Good point. So you can either type in a question into the chat pod, and I'll read those and respond to them verbally at this point, or you can hit #6 on your phone line, and it will unmute your line, and you're going to be able to ask me a verbal question. So we'll wait a couple seconds here and ready to take any of them.
Hey guys, it's Merrill over at Chesapeake. I'll just, while people are thinking of their questions, talk a little bit about how purchases work with Chesapeake. So if you're a previous Adobe customer through us, there's a chance that perhaps you have terms with us, net 30 terms or whatever the case may be. We can maintain that purchase a workflow without too much rejiggering. So even with the advent of having to be involved in doing a VIP portal invite and accepting it and then managing that all, that purchase order number is good for us because that allows us to net 30 invoice you. So in an example, say you want to get 5 seats today and we have terms with you. Well, you're going to be able to go ahead and do that, and we'll process that order. You're still going to get a quote from us like always. You would say, hey, Merrill, let's get a quote for 5 seats of Creative Cloud for Teams today. And then maybe next month you the day of a new hire know you need an additional seat, and maybe you don't have a chance to reach out to me or somebody here at Chesapeake. You'll be able to go into that VIP portal and assign an additional seat and put an associated purchase order number with that, and then we'll be able to net 30 invoice you for it. One of the things that really is beautiful about using Creative Cloud for Teams with an integrator like Chesapeake is that we're going to be able to adhere to your business workflows as it comes to purchasing. You'll have instantaneous access, and we will invoice you as always per our individual terms with you. So you'll have a little bit of flexibility with that. It's no longer, oh my God, we got to wait and do all that. It's an expeditious process, I think.
Thanks, Merrill. I have a question. What if you're a very occasional user like me? I use Photoshop, Illustrator, Dreamweaver, and Acrobat, but not much, maybe 3 to 4 times per year. Good question. And to answer that, I would say it's a matter of dollars and cents. As I mentioned, CS6 is currently one version back, and as you may know, up front it's more expensive, and it's certainly expensive to upgrade Design Standard, which is the suite that it looks like you're describing right here, and again, it's an outdated version. So and we only allow one version back for updating. So if you're on a version prior to CS5, you'll have to buy a full new copy. The way that I look at it, for $480 for a full year and $960 for 2, basically with the locked-in price, you're able to experience the latest and greatest of those softwares as well as additional features, and even for Acrobat, because Acrobat is pretty useful just for day-to-day life, even if you're an occasional Creative Suite user. I'd say it's just a decision that I would make based off of cost.
And just to piggyback off of what James is saying here, we typically see folks, at least when we were doing the Creative Suite releases, that it's usually businesses make decisions to do every other version. So a lot of times, folks who are still on CS5, maybe they didn't move forward on CS6 just yet. But the way I look at it is you're you've gone about 2 years, what a typical sales cycle for Creative Suite in general is. You're getting Master Collection. If it was CS7 today, you would be paying near 3 times the amount for the same amount of software. So for somebody who's still in the CS5 boat, the way I would put it is, you're getting Master Collection and then some for what would be a fraction of the cost had Adobe maintained a sort of perpetual licensing, CS6 kind of scenario. I also, James, I'm seeing this question about activating and single users. Is the end user license agreement the same as in previous years? So if they had CS6, I know the scenario was if you were an individual who had a home office and you had a laptop that you traveled with for business calls, but you also had a home computer, you could install your applications, your Adobe applications, on 2 machines. Is that
right? So I touched on that a little bit earlier, and yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It used to be that you had to be different locations, really. So you had a field one and a home office, or you had a home office and an office install. With this, because it's named user deployment, each user can install on any 2 devices that he or she wants. Very simple. So you don't have to worry. Yeah, no worries. And you can't fire up the software. It's not like before you had a serial number. You could just keep, stamping that across as many computers as you want. So theoretically, people could buy 1 copy and put it across 5 desktops. And, obviously that's out of compliance, but we didn't really have a safety mechanism there for IT admins. So now it gives the IT admins much more control over their environment. And compliancy is not even an issue anymore, which is huge because Adobe's been pretty notorious on that front, and we're looking to cut back on that. Now, I see another question for, I see that to be eligible for the discounted pricing, you have to have CS5 or later, or have membership for CC Teams. So membership for CC Teams, as I mentioned, is free. It's VIP. That's all that it is, and it's available to anyone right now. So it's not you don't need CS5 to get that upgrade price. Everybody has some form of Creative Suite in their environment, and we're extending that price out to everyone who has prior versions of Creative Suite in their environment for both upgrades and new seats. So there's you don't have to go through any hoops or prerequisites in order to get that discount through Chesapeake.
Sure, and Kay, just to again piggyback off what James is saying here, that VIP portal invite is something that would be sent by somebody at Chesapeake Systems. So say you call and you say, we're ready to get on board with Creative Cloud for Teams. One of the first steps is we'll give you pricing in a formal quote, but the subsequent steps is that you'll get an invitation to this portal from the Chesapeake Systems VIP portal, and that's how you become part of the CC Teams cabal, as it is. So that's something that Chesapeake will definitely broker, and there's not a whole lot you have to worry about.
Thanks. Yeah, that's exactly right. Have another great question. What happens if you discontinue your membership? Do you have to save your files to CS5 or CS6? Great question. When a user does no longer has an active subscription, and it's user-based, right? So you can have 5 users, and one of them you might choose to not renew. That user's software will no longer fire up, and that's pretty standard for the way that a subscription for software works. The files don't go away, so you can still keep your .psd files, and other folks at Photoshop will be able to read and use them. Just as a best practice, I would, if you plan on not renewing your membership, that's your prerogative and definitely an option that you have. And yeah, you're absolutely right. You can back save those files to prior versions if you so choose.
Now, James, a quick question for you on that one, just because I actually don't know the answer to this, and I'm sure if I'm curious about it.
Meryl doesn't know the answer. I'm really nervous because you know everything. So.
Well, that's My mother used to tell me that, but I think it was in jest. But what we're talking about here is, obviously, as with previous Adobe products, you can save back to previous versions. But as a practical matter, can somebody who is using Photoshop CC and saves a Photoshop PSD in Photoshop CC, can they open that .PSD currently in CS6 without saving it back?
Yes. Of course, it will depend on what type of functionality you baked into that .PSD. So it's so the way that I like it. Right. The way that I liken it to the way that Microsoft Office Word works or Excel. You can save as the docx, and people with prior versions of Microsoft, may not be able to use some of that functionality. Or you can save as a .doc, and then everyone and their mother will be able to read it. So you definitely have that functionality there.
Can you hear me? James, this is David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Mm-hmm.
James, I just have a question. This is a Creative Cloud question more than it is perhaps a Teams question, but if I'm in the middle of a project, editing, let's say in Premiere, and an update comes out, and I do not want to update in the middle of a project, do I have that option?
Absolutely. Updates only happen when you want them to happen.
Okay.
So, James, just another question on that one, just for clarity, because I know specifically for my video workflow folks, the folks who are doing post, they might have some intricate workflows as it relates to how they're handling their video assets and all the other good stuff, and as a result, not want to upgrade. Certainly, I understand the option of not having to update when the next major release comes out, which is, of course, is impending, and this is the way that Adobe is going to be releasing them moving forward. But how long can these folks hold on to the old ones? Now, the reason I ask this question is I'll use Final Cut 7 as an example. Many folks who are still white-knuckling, if you will, Final Cut 7 because they're in the midst of large projects or they have a specific workflow. And I imagine that these workflows, again, will be devised around, Premiere CC. But is there any limitation to how long they can keep a previous version of the app? So if they want, for business reasons, for strategic reasons, to stay on Premiere CC, and then when Premiere CC2 or Premiere CC Next or whatever it is that we're going to call it comes out, is there do you have any visibility into whether or not they can?
Yeah, absolutely.
That?
So every subscription, and I didn't mention this, but there's a plethora of information. Like I said, I could talk for 4 hours about this. You could probably tell. But with each subscription, you're actually able to go back to any iteration you'd like, all the way back to CS6. So currently you have two options for Premiere, for instance. You can get a Creative Cloud for Teams membership and instantly deploy Premiere CS6 using a different type of installer. It's on what we call our AMEE tool, or AAMEE, and that's available on the admin console as well. So you can get Premiere CS6 as part of the Creative Cloud for Teams membership, or you can go to CC. And then as we release major updates to the product, you can choose which iteration of that product you'd like to have. But no, there's currently no rules for how long you're allowed to keep an old version of the software on your desktop as long as you are a subscribing member.
Now, one of the other things that I wanted to talk to, I know that we have some folks here, perhaps from education, and so a couple of folks from government. One of the questions that I'm getting quite a bit of is there a specific workflow for us? And I know in speaking with Kurt over at Adobe, who is our great champion and very helpful and an excellent resource to Chesapeake, and thereby to all of our clients, for government employees and government entities at a local and state level, and folks that are not in secure environments, we have an ability, Chesapeake has an ability today to sell to you, commercial SKU. Things get a little more prickly when it comes to secure environments, but I was wondering if maybe you could just talk generally about, when these apps call home, what the requisite for them actually to be online is, right? Do they call home once a month?
So they'll call home they'll call home pretty frequently. But if they're disconnected from the internet, they only require a phone home once every 99 days. So
99
what
days.
that means
okay.
is, yep. So you can have a field editor working on a project, shooting the next great sci-fi in the Sahara, and he doesn't have internet, so that editor can, or maybe it's someone who just prefers to work on a turnkey system that's offline. As long as you install it online and you're able to authenticate the version of the software that you're on, you can then unplug from the internet for up to 99 days, and then after 99 days, you'll need to take your laptop for a walk, as we say. Just jump over to a Starbucks and tell us you're still with us, and then we're good. So it's every 99 days. For government customers who sit behind the secure firewall, so people in DOD and CIA, then we have a specific offering called Creative Cloud for desktop apps, or Creative Cloud desktop apps. And those are able to, that's the full version of Creative Cloud software, but it doesn't phone home. And there's a whole other set of information that can go over that. But at the end of the day, if someone needs that, we can definitely have that discussion.
Sure, and anybody who's on the call who needs to have the conversation, please do reach out to me. James, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's still a work in progress.
No, that's available right now.
It is available as of today. Okay,
fully baked.
So that is good to know. Anybody who's got that specific requirement, we'll work with you to make sure that we can deploy into your environment.
But good to know that it's only government clients you can have that. You can have that option. It doesn't work for commercial.
Understood.
All right. Well,
do we have any other questions?
Great Q&A. If anyone else has any other questions, you can definitely reach out to David, Merrill, or myself. And David, did you want to wrap up? Now that we're at the top.
Yeah, I will. I will
okay.
Indeed. Thank you again, James, really for a very informative presentation. And looks like we really accomplished what we set out to do, that is give everyone a clear picture of what this innovative Creative Cloud for Teams paradigm is all about and the unique value it offers. I used to work in PBS and do a lot of on-air hosting of pledge drives, so I guess I'm supposed to say, now is the time to pick up that phone and call, but I'll spare you that. But really, in all seriousness, this is the time to decide whether Creative Cloud for Teams makes sense for your team. And again, as pointed out, there are financial imperatives to make that decision now. Again, pricing goes up after this month. So this is really an important time to make the decision on your end. And once again, my colleague Merrill Davis, and let's get his info up there. There we go, his contact info. Hey, it is available to sign you up for the program or to answer any questions. Chesapeake, if you've worked with us before, we make the process easy. That's why people use us. We streamline it for you and watch out for you, and we're, your level of support there as well. We're another level of support. So, Merrill, is there anything further you want to add before I sign this off?
I just want to say if there are folks out there that really want to talk about transitioning from their Final Cut workflows specifically to Premiere, I'm the guy most definitely to chat with. I myself made that transition after many, many years in Final Cut, and the first thing I did when I launched Premiere was change my keyboard preset. So, there are ways in which your transition, if your post-production video workflow is not necessarily centered around, maybe you use After Effects, but you have another NLE in the mix, talk to me. I'm happy to sort you out there. There's definitely a conversation to be had, and we'll get you poised.
Okay, and as James said, one of the great aspects about the Creative Cloud paradigm is that once you decide to go with the program, we can turn you on really fast. That you can be given access in very short order. So,
and put an actual timer on that. Short order means within a couple hours, just so you know.
Very good, very good. And as a final note, I remind you to check out our website. Again, it's chesa.com. That's CHESA.com. Where you can also sign up for our e-newsletter and also check out our popular podcast series, The Workflow Show. And we are now proud to be entering our second season. Meryl and Nick Gold, who is also a member of our national sales team, co-host this really informative series, and it's been very popular. It's been getting a lot of traction. So I encourage you to take a look at that on our site. So, again, James, thank you very much. Meryl, thanks. Thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to being of further service. And remember, Chesapeake Systems, creative IT for the creative professional. Thanks again, and have a good rest of the day, everybody.